friends, how about a upcycled or recycled or repurposed, whatever you want to call it, little piggy, just because that would be fun to go along with Farm Week. So I have some white scrap, some pink. If I had scrap, I would use that. I've got a water bottle. You could even use like a soda bottle. That would work, or milk jug, whatever you have, okay? I've got some glue, and we need scissors, and we need paint and paint brushes. So I've got an old paint plate. I'll just reuse that. Put a little bit of pink on here. And that's probably even too much. And then I'm going to add a little bit of white on here. And we'll mix the white and the pink together and to make a pink for our pig. I'm going to move this out of the way just for a moment because I don't want to land on it. Now, I need some ears, a tail, and a little nose, some eyes. So I'm going to make my pieces first. I will paint the water bottle, and then I'll put the pieces on top of the wet paint, and then you don't really have to use glue. Okay, if I wanted 2 eyeballs, I could fold my paper in half like this, and you may want to draw them first with pencil, especially if you're doing this project with a little one. You could draw out the parts, and then they could cut them out, because cutting is really good practice for them. Kids don't get nearly enough cutting practice, and then they get to my classroom and I have to really, really work with them. So, plus they love working with scissors. Honestly, they'll cut paper for hours and hours. Okay, there's 2 cute little eyes. And of course, I would want to totally draw some pupils on here, right? So we'll get some little pupils on here. Just like that. So I'm just making some ovals on top of my oval cutouts. If you had googly eyes, that would even be really cute. So there's some little eyes, just like that. If you wanted to take it one step further, you could add an iris on there. So we could make the color part of the eye, right? Add the iris on. So we have the color part of the eye, just like that. And just like this. There we go. There. So now it's got some color around it if you want to. You don't have to. Next, we need a little snout. So you would probably want to use a pencil. I'm going to kind of measure here. And we've got these eyes. So if I put my eyes up here, I can kind of measure the size I want my snout to be. Okay, there we go. So I could do a snout about maybe that size. There we go. Okay, and then we'll need some little ears, right? And we'll do the ears. Well, here, we could do one little ear on here, and then we can fold it over and cut them out and have the same size. And then I'll show you how to make a spiral from a circle, okay? So we have kind of a squarish rectangle, one ear, and one circle for the tail. Here we go, just like that. And then of course I'll flip it over and use that side. So on this side, I would want to add the 2 big old nostrils, right? So our piggy thought he was just one of the doggies, and he just hung out in the backyard with them and would run up and down the fence when cars would drive by, or people would walk by, and he kind of begged for food from the neighbor. The neighbor would always feed him scraps over the fence. And then the doggies would get jealous because they didn't get scraps over the fence. We go very carefully, we cut. And I always have to remind kids how to hold their scissors. I know that sounds so silly, but I have to remind them that their thumb goes in the circle hole on the top and that the fingers, however many will fit, go in the oval hole and they go on the bottom. So silly, but you have to tell them. Okay, to make a spiral, what we're going to do is we're going to cut like we're making a circle, but the circle just keeps getting smaller and smaller, right? Just like this. Then we turn those scissors around and we start going back the other direction, just like so. Here we go. So we turn around, we go the other direction, just like this. Oh my goodness, come on. And we'll back our way out of this spiral. I should have made my lines a little further apart so that my spiral cut would be a little thicker. And I know you're not really able to see what I'm doing, but we do a spiral cut one way and then we back out of it to do the other cut. So there is our cute little spiral, right? So now and actually you have two. So you could do two piggies, right? Okay, I'm gonna keep the bigger one though and leave the little one. Uh-oh. There we go. Dropped my ear. Okay, so now I have all my piggy parts. And we'll put our scraps down here out of the way. Try to back this up a little. Turn that around. Okay, so now on my water bottle, I'm going to take the lid off. And right, I think about when it starts to go in, that's where I'm going to poke the scissors in there. And this is one of those cheapo water bottles, so it's real easy to cut. I will say the thicker the plastic though, the harder it will be to cut. So you might be careful, don't hurt yourself. Now we have that. So for my pink, we talked about how I did some white and some pink. So you could use a paintbrush or you can use a foamy brush. So I'm going to start by putting just a glob of pink into my white. And that's too light, so I'll add another glob of pink in there. And that paint's just wanting to roll right down my plate. So don't do that. Okay. Once you have a pink that you like, you can quit adding pink in. And you have two choices. You could either paint the inside or you could paint the outside. So I'll show you kind of what it looks like if you paint the inside. I think it looks kind of cool to paint the inside because then you're left with a shine on the outside. But if you do this, you will have to use the glue to attach your body parts. That sounds funny. To attach your body parts. There we go. Now this could serve as a multi-purpose piece, like this could actually hold something, right? And so if you wanted it to actually hold something, you may, after you paint it and you let it dry, you might paint a layer of glue on top of your paint, and then that way it'll keep whatever you put on the inside from scraping off the paint. So just an idea. And since you're making your own color, make sure that you make enough of it. I'm going to go ahead and fill the bottom as well. There we go. So if you paint the outside, the paint will kind of serve as glue. If you paint the inside, that's totally fine. Keeps the paint from scraping off on the outside. But you'll still have to use glue, obviously, to attach your body parts. Every video, guys, almost every video. There we go. Okay. So we've got a nice, pretty smooth layer. It's not perfectly smooth, but it's a pretty smooth layer on here. The softer your brush bristles, the easier it is to paint on plastic. It's kind of tricky to paint on plastic because if you push too hard, you just cut right through the paint. There's our cute little pink inside. So this obviously needs to hang out in your water cup because you don't want all that paint to get dried in the bristles. You'll ruin your brush. So this is just Elmer's glue all. I think just good old Elmer's glue would work too, but this is what I had in my little art basket over here. So that's what we're using. And I am going to get some glue on the back of my piggy nose, and we'll get this all glued on here. So I'm going to put it just a little bit down low. And I think I made all my body parts a little too big. A little exaggerated, huh? But that's okay. We'll glue on the eyes and the other eye. This is kind of funny. Okay, because my body parts are so big. All right. Get that eye glued on and our piggy nose glued on. And because it's round and they're bigger, they're not perfectly sticking to the side. You could also use hot glue. That would be easier than trying to fight with all this stuff, right? If I wanted my ears to kind of curve over a little bit, I could kind of curve these down like that. Put a little bit of glue right inside here, right on the bottom, like that. And then I can stick this ear right there. And then we can put some glue right here and stick this ear over here. And really, if you can hold these down for a minute, that'll be even better. So I'll hold these down for just a minute. Oh my gosh, this is hilarious. There we go. And then we'll glue this tail on. So let's think about this. How do we want to glue this on? Do we just want to stick it like that? That tail might even be too big. I might actually have to use the smaller tail. So these tails kind of remind me of my doggy's tails. I have pugs, and my daughter has always called their tails cinnamon roll tails. And that's exactly what this little pigtail reminds me of. OMG. Look how silly that project is. I love it. It's so fun. So silly and fun and great for Farm Week. Like I said, after the inside dries, you could put a layer of glue in there, and then you could use it just to throw some whatever in, some little knickknacks. If it was a bigger container, like a soda bottle, you could put all kinds of stuff in there, right? But super fun, super silly. Thanks so much, guys, for hanging out with me and doing this project and watching it to the end. Please do all of that awesome social media stuff. And you guys have a super fabulous week. Thanks for hanging out.